Let me tell you something. If they're suddenly ignoring you, baby, they've already started noticing your power. And that scares them. Have you ever walked into a room full of people you once called yours and felt invisible? You text them, silence. You speak, ignored. And you wonder, what did I do wrong? Let me answer that for you. You started growing. And they couldn't handle it. You started growing. And they couldn't handle it. The truth is, people don't ignore you because you're worthless. They ignore you when your presence starts threatening their comfort zone. Your confidence is loud and they're not used to it. You used to walk into a room, quiet, cautious, wondering what they thought of you. Your eyes scanned for approval before your mouth ever opened. You used to dim your light just so someone else wouldn't feel like they were standing in your shadow. But then something changed. Slowly, quietly, and then, all at once, you stopped waiting for permission. You stopped needing their applause. You started walking with your chin high, with your purpose louder than your fears. And that is the moment they started ignoring you. Because the truth is, confidence is disruptive. It shakes the ground beneath people who are standing on shaky self-worth. Your strength speaks in volumes, even when you're silent. Your energy walks 10 steps ahead of you, and people feel it before you speak. You're no longer that girl who apologizes for having an opinion. You're no longer adjusting yourself like furniture to fit the room. You are the room. Now, and people who only loved your insecurity, they don't know how to love this new you. Let's take a daily example. Remember the office co-worker who used to laugh with you during coffee breaks? The one who always confided in you when they were down? Suddenly they stop including you in their plans. They start forming alliances without you. You feel left out, invisible. You wonder, did I offend them? Now, they start forming alliances without you. You feel left out, invisible. You wonder, did I offend them? No. What happened was, they watched you get that promotion. They heard you speak up in the meeting with power in your voice. They noticed how your clothes started matching your ambition. You became unapologetically you, and they didn't know how to relate to you anymore. Why? Because your confidence reminded them of the chances they never took. Confidence isn't arrogance. Confidence is authenticity without apology. And for some people, that's intimidating. Especially the ones who are still stuck in pretending. Your presence becomes a mirror, reflecting everything they're suppressing. You walk in with your dreams strapped to your back, and your fears burned to ashes. And that makes some people uncomfortable. You ever notice how in school, the quiet girl who suddenly blossoms into the class speaker starts getting side eyes? It's not because she changed. It's because she grew. And people who remain stagnant often see growth as betrayal. They liked you when you were harmless, when you were agreeable, when you said yes to everything, even when your heart screamed no. But now, you're setting boundaries. You're choosing yourself. That's not just new to them, it's a revolution. Think about your friendships. The ones where you were always the listener, the helper, the fixer. The moment you started saying, I'm tired today, or I can't take this on right now, they started acting distant. Because people who only saw you as useful don't know how to treat you when you're no longer desperate to be needed. Your confidence made you your own hero. And that ruined their role as your savior. Even in relationships, how many of us have dated someone who only loved the idea of us being dependent? The moment we stood on our own, spoke our truth, made choices without needing their approval, they started drifting. Because your confidence cracked the code. It revealed they were never in love with your soul, they were in love with your silence. And then there's family. You start speaking differently, dressing differently, thinking differently. You don't attend every gathering. You start talking about dreams they never dared to chase. And suddenly, you're the changed one, the distant one. Not because you're ungrateful, but because you finally know your worth doesn't come from their traditions. It comes from your truth. That confidence, it's loud. And generational fear hates loud. Confidence is expensive, and when you wear it well, don't be surprised when people who never wanted to pay that price start ghosting you. But let me tell you something. Don't you dare mute your volume. Don't lower your frequency to fit into conversations not meant for you. If your confidence is too loud for them, that's not your problem. That's their volume issue. There's a moment in every strong woman's life when she realizes they're not ignoring me because I'm less. They're ignoring me because I'm more aware, more awake, more aligned with what sets her soul on fire. So no, you're not too much. You're exactly as much as you need to be to break every ceiling they said you couldn't. Keep walking into rooms like you own the floor. Keep speaking like your voice was made to echo. Keep wearing your goals like armor. Because confidence isn't about walking over others. It's about walking without fear. And once you do that, don't be surprised when the crowd thins out. You're not lonely. You're just stepping into a frequency where only those who match your power can stay. Let the rest fall away. They can't control you anymore. There's a moment in life when you realize that you no longer need permission to be yourself. You stop seeking validation. And that's when people who once had the power to influence you, to direct your choices, to dictate how you should feel or act, start to notice that you're no longer under their thumb. It's a powerful feeling, isn't it? When you realize you're standing on your own 2 feet, unapologetically, with your voice finally being your own and not what someone else wants it to be. Think about the relationships you've been in, or even the friendships that you've held on to out of fear of letting go. When they control the narrative, you were constantly trying to fit into their idea of who you were supposed to be. Maybe they told you how you should look, how you should speak, how you should love, what you should accept, what you should fear. But now, you've stepped into your own power, and suddenly, their words don't have the same weight anymore. You've reclaimed yourself, and that's when they start realizing they can't control you anymore. Remember that friend or that partner who always tried to mold you into their version of perfect? They wanted you to be available at their convenience to only do what they approved of. The moment you started choosing your own happiness, prioritizing your own peace, you felt the distance grow between you. Because they couldn't use their influence on you anymore. They couldn't control your choices, your boundaries, or your dreams. You stood up and you said no more. They didn't know how to react. And that reaction wasn't about you. It was about the fact that you refused to be what they needed you to be. And in the workplace, it's no different. Remember the boss or the colleague who tried to take credit for your work? The ones who used your hard work to advance their own agendas? The ones who constantly told you to play it safe and follow the rules? When you started believing in your ideas, your talents, your worth, you became a force they couldn't control anymore. They saw you rise, and instead of congratulating you, they tried to pull you back down with their criticism, with their limiting beliefs. But here's the thing, they can't control you anymore, because you've stopped seeking their approval. You no longer need their validation to keep moving forward. And that terrifies them. And even in family dynamics, it's there. Maybe you've always been the one to put everyone else's needs before your own. Maybe you've carried their expectations like a burden, afraid to disappoint them. But now, you've begun to make your own choices, to carve out a life that's truly yours. You've set boundaries that they never saw coming, and suddenly you're the one calling the shots. And that's when they start scrambling. They don't know how to respond to the new you, the you who isn't asking for permission to live anymore. They've lost their control over you, and for the first time, you're free. When you start thinking for yourself, acting for yourself, and walking your path, the people who used to think they could control you, they're the ones who lose their power. You stop being the puppet and start becoming the master of your own life. They can't pull your strings anymore because you've severed the ties that once held you in place. And that's not something anyone can control. You are unstoppable when you stand firm in your truth and your independence. Your power is yours, and no one has the right to take it from you again. You're no longer convenient. There was a time when you molded yourself to fit into every situation, every conversation, every relationship. You made yourself available whenever someone needed you, and you gave without hesitation, often at the expense of your own well-being. You said yes even when your heart screamed no, because you feared disappointing others. You made yourself convenient because you thought that's how you would be loved, how you would be accepted, how you would be needed. You thought if you kept showing up for them, they would keep showing up for you. But here's the truth, people don't value convenience, they value what costs them something. When you stop being easy to access, when you stop being the person everyone could turn to for free favors, for emotional labor, for a listening ear at all hours, that's when the real change began. You started setting boundaries. You stopped being available 24/7 to fix everyone else's problems, to adjust your setting boundaries. You stopped being available 24/7 to fix everyone else's problems, to adjust your schedule around their needs, to sacrifice your peace for their comfort. And guess what? Suddenly you became a little less convenient. You were no longer just a phone call away when someone needed to dump their drama. You weren't always the person to call for a last-minute favor. You weren't the one who jumped to make their life easier while yours fell apart in the background. Take a moment to think about those friendships where you were always the one to initiate plans, the one to support, the one to give. It felt good at first, right? It felt like you were needed, like you were the glue that held everything together. But slowly you realized that the more you gave, the more they took. And when you started saying no, when you started prioritizing yourself, suddenly the text messages stopped, the invites slowed down, the check-ins became less frequent. Why? Because your value to them was tied to your availability, your willingness to be at their service, to be their emotional caretaker, their backup plan. And once you weren't convenient anymore, they didn't know how to handle it. Think about the workplace. How many times did you say yes to extra work, even when it wasn't in your job description, just to help out? How often did you stay late, go above and beyond, stretch your limits to make someone else's job easier? And did they notice? Probably not. They took your dedication for granted, and they expected you to be there whenever they called. But once you set your boundaries, once you stopped being the go-to person for everything, things changed. They didn't call on you as much. They didn't value your time as much. And that's when you realize your worth was never in your availability. Your worth was always in your expertise, your passion, your drive. Even in romantic relationships, you've probably been the one who always made the first move, always adjusted your life to fit someone else's, always put your dreams on the back burner to accommodate theirs. But when you decided that you were important, when you started chasing your own dreams and honoring your own needs, that's when things shifted. Suddenly, you weren't as convenient anymore. You weren't as easy to pin down. And the truth is, they were never in love with you. They were in love with your ability to make their life easy. And once that stopped, they started to fade away. They didn't know how to handle someone who knew their worth and wasn't afraid to demand respect. The bottom line is this: when you stop being convenient, you force people to recognize your value. You stop being a backup plan. You stop being an option, and you start becoming the priority. You teach people how to treat you by refusing to bend over backward for them. And the ones who truly value you, they'll rise to the occasion. They'll respect your boundaries. They'll understand that you're no longer an easy option, but a choice worth making. The ones who can't handle it, they'll fade away, and that's okay. Because you're no longer interested in being someone's convenience. You're here to be someone's priority. You weren't as easy to pin down. And the truth is, they were never in love with you. They were in love with your ability to make their life easy. And once that stopped, they started to fade away. They didn't know how to handle someone who knew their worth and wasn't afraid to demand respect. The bottom line is this: when you stop being convenient, you force people to recognize your value. You stop being a backup plan. You stop being an option, and you start becoming the priority. You teach people how to treat you by refusing to bend over backward for them. And the ones who truly value you, they'll rise to the occasion. They'll respect your boundaries. They'll understand that you're no longer an easy option, but a choice worth making. The ones who can't handle it, they'll fade away, and that's okay. Because you're no longer interested in being someone's convenience. You're here to be someone's priority. They're testing your reaction. Every day life throws challenges your way. But sometimes it's not just about the situation itself, it's about how you react to it. People, situations, even the world around you, everyone and everything is watching, waiting to see how you'll respond. When you face setbacks, disappointments, and moments of frustration, there's always an underlying test. It's a test of your resilience, your patience, your strength, and your character. How you react is everything. Think about that moment when someone in your life, whether it's a friend, a partner, or even a colleague, said something that struck a nerve. Maybe it was a comment that felt disrespectful or a situation that made you question their loyalty. You felt the anger rising, your blood boiling, ready to fire back. But then, something clicked inside of you. You realized that this wasn't just about their words. It was about how you chose to respond. In that moment, you had a choice. To react out of emotion, or to respond with grace, wisdom, and strength. That's the test. They're testing how much you've grown, how much you've learned from the struggles and challenges of your past. How far you've come from the person who would have fired back with hurtful words to the person who now knows that silence, calm, and control are the true signs of power. The old version of you might have crumbled under the weight of their words, but the new version of you, she doesn't react impulsively. She doesn't let anyone dictate her emotional state. This test isn't just about the people around you. It's about life itself. Maybe your car breaks down on the way to an important meeting. Maybe you miss out on an opportunity you worked so hard for. Life throws its curveballs at you to see how you'll handle them. Will you spiral into frustration, letting the situation control your mood and your day? Or will you find the calm in the chaos, focus on what's next, and find a solution? It's easy to let life dictate your emotions. But the real power comes when you dictate your emotions, regardless of what life throws your way. Even in relationships, people test you. They say things to see how much they can push your boundaries, how much they can get away with. It's a subtle dance, one where they'll poke and prod to see how much you'll tolerate before you break. But every time you hold your ground, every time you stay true to yourself and your values, you're passing the test. You're showing them and yourself that you will not be manipulated, you will not be disrespected, and you won't let anyone dictate your emotional peace. And let's not forget the ones who push you to your limits. The ones who take. I wish the world has mean an F-feating. The world has mean an F. Never giving back. They want to see how much they can drain from you before you finally say no more. But when you finally stand up for yourself, when you stop letting them take advantage of your kindness, you realize the test wasn't just about them. It was about you finding the strength to say enough. It's about reclaiming your energy and your peace. This is life's great challenge to us all. How do we react when everything around us feels chaotic, unfair, or challenging? The way you respond, how you carry yourself, your ability to stay grounded, says everything about your growth. So the next time someone tests you, whether through words or actions, remember, this is your moment to rise. It's not about their words, their actions, or their tests. It's about your strength, your peace, and your reaction. Your response will define you. And it will prove to the world and to yourself that you are in control of your destiny. Your growth triggers their insecurities. The moment you start stepping into your own power, the moment you begin to rise above the struggles that once held you back, something changes. Your energy shifts. And with that shift comes the discomfort of those around you who aren't ready to face their own limitations. When you evolve, when you push through the boundaries you once thought were impossible, you begin to trigger something in others, their insecurities. And it's not your fault. It's a reflection of where they are in their journey, not yours. Let's talk about that time when you started achieving goals that once seemed out of reach. Maybe it was getting that promotion at work, starting that business you'd always dreamed of, or simply leveling up in the way you carry yourself. You started walking with confidence, you started achieving success, and suddenly, people who once supported you now looked at you differently. The energy changed. Maybe they threw shade, subtly belittling your achievements. Why? Because your growth made them confront the fact that they were stuck. Your forward momentum forced them to face their own fears, their own doubts, their own unspoken limitations. It's like when you see someone close to you start making strides in their health and fitness journey. They're eating better, working out, and feeling better about themselves. Instead of cheering them on, some people feel threatened. They feel uncomfortable because it reminds them of their own unfulfilled goals. They feel exposed. It's easier to criticize or belittle their progress than to acknowledge the hard work that went into it. That's because your growth, your transformation, triggers something within them, a deep-rooted insecurity that they haven't dealt with yet. It forces them to face the fact that they've been holding themselves back, that they've been settling, that they haven't pushed themselves to the same heights. And instead of looking at you with admiration, they begin to look at you with envy. But the key here is to remember, this is not about you. This is about them. Think about the friends who've known you for years. You've been through ups and downs. together, but the moment you start leveling up, whether it's in your career, your relationships, or your personal growth, some of them begin to fade. They might not directly say it, but their actions speak volumes. Maybe they start making passive-aggressive comments, subtly trying to cut you down. Or perhaps they don't acknowledge your successes at all. Why? Because your growth forces them to confront their own stagnation. They have to face the truth that they're not pushing themselves, that they're not challenging themselves the way you are. And that's uncomfortable. It's easier for them to stay in a place of denial, where they don't have to acknowledge their own lack of progress. And in romantic relationships, this can be even more pronounced. As you evolve and grow into your best self, you might find that the person you're with starts to feel threatened. They might not be as supportive as they once were. Or they might make comments that undermine your achievements. They might even try to hold you back, whether intentionally or not, because your growth reminds them of their own potential that they haven't fully tapped into. It's not your responsibility to carry them through their insecurities, but it is your responsibility to recognize that their reaction is a reflection of where they are, not where you are. So what do you do when you realize your growth is triggering their insecurities? You keep moving forward. You don't dim your light to make others feel comfortable. You don't shrink yourself to make them feel better about where they are. You continue to rise, to evolve, and to thrive. Understand that the discomfort they feel is their own battle, and it's not your job to carry that burden for them. Your growth is a reflection of your hard work, your dedication, and your refusal to stay stagnant. The people who are meant for you will celebrate your success, will cheer you on, and will rise with you. Those who can't handle your growth will fall away, and that's okay. They are simply not ready to face their own fears, and that's something only they can work through. Your job is to continue shining, continue growing, and continue being unapologetically you. Because your growth isn't just a victory for you. It's a reminder to everyone else that they too can push through their insecurities and reach new heights. As we wrap up today's journey, let me leave you with this. The greatest power you possess is the power to never give up on yourself. In the face of adversity, in the times when life seems to be stripping away everything that once made you feel secure, remember, you are not losing, you are being prepared for the life you truly deserve. Don't ever underestimate your ability to rise from the ashes, to transform the pain into power, and to create a life that others only dream of. Remember, you are the creator of your own destiny. Every challenge, every setback, every obstacle is just another opportunity for you to show the world, and more importantly, yourself, just how strong, resilient, and unstoppable you truly are. The world will try to break you, people will try to discourage you. But as the saying goes, the wound is the place where the light enters you. It is through the darkest times that your brightest light shines. Never forget that. When others doubt you, let that fuel you to go even harder. When others question your decisions, let that be the spark that ignites your passion. When they ignore your brilliance, let that be the fuel that pushes you to make your success undeniable. You are not defined by your past. You are not defined by your failures. You are defined by how you rise, how you fight, and how you keep going when everyone else would have quit. It's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get up. Every time you rise from a fall, you become stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling whatever life throws at you. Let the haters be your motivators. Let their doubts propel you to reach new heights. Because at the end of the day, the only person you need to prove anything to is yourself. When you start living for you, when you start trusting the journey that's unfolding for you, you begin to realize that the universe is conspiring in your favor. Every door that shuts, every person that walks away is making room for something better, something more aligned with your purpose. You see, the truth is this: what you are capable of is beyond what you can even imagine right now. You have untapped potential inside of you, waiting to burst forth. The world has yet to see your full power. And the only way for that to happen is for you to keep moving forward, regardless of the setbacks, the failures, or the moments when you feel like quitting. Keep moving forward. When life gets tough, don't ask for an easier path. Ask for a stronger you. Because the greatest power you will ever have is the ability to persevere, to believe in yourself when no one else does, and to keep fighting for the life you envision, no matter the obstacles. So stand tall, walk with confidence, own your space. You are not here by mistake. You are here because you are meant to shine, meant to rise, meant to leave a mark on this world. Never doubt your worth. You were made for greatness. Every moment of pain, every moment of struggle has been preparing you for this. Remember, the best is yet to come. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Keep believing, keep fighting, and keep rising. Your time is now. And when you finally look back at all the challenges you faced and conquered, you'll smile and say, I did that, and I am just getting started. So step into your future with courage. The world is waiting for you. Now go and show them what you're made of.